Can you tell me exactly what you do and how you make money?
Right now, my clients come to me and say, hey, Josh, I want to have sales meetings on my calendar. And I help them get people on their calendar to meet for sales meetings. And they just show up, pitch their product, and that's how they make sales. Work with a lot of B2B companies. So I do monthly retainers for a lot of my clients, and that's typically $3,000. And that covers all their tech costs and things like that. And basically they pay me that retainer and I book them 10 to 20 meetings every single month.
Can you be a little bit more specific? What's the question, for example, of one of your clients right now?
So one of my clients is a SaaS company, and they said, hey, we're trying to validate this product. And in order to validate this new B2B software, we need to get our product in front of some people who would use the software. So can you help us set up some meetings so we can talk to potential customers? So I said, sure. You give me a lump sum of $3,000 a month. And what I'll do is I'll help you send out emails and book meetings on your calendar. And then I also help them with the sales cycle as well, making sure they follow up on their demos and going through with the sales cycle.
So based on your current offerings, how much do you make in total?
Okay, so my revenue right now is about $8,000 a month. I also have expenses, though each client costs around maybe $500 for tech costs and contractor costs to fulfill that, to do fulfillment. And then I also have some fixed costs as well, like my plan for Upwork and other softwares that I use on a monthly basis. So that totals to about $1,500. So I'm looking around net around 5 to 6K a month. I think I'm going to hit the 10K mark of revenue probably in the next 3 months or so. And again, that's revenue. So I'll probably net around 8K in the next couple of months. And my goal for the end of the year is to net 10K a month after all my expenses and everything. As for my annual, I guess you'd say salary, it's really hard to tell because I started out as $3,000 or $4,000 in January. And then in December, I might end up in 10K. So it's way different than having a job and saying, you know what, I get paid 50K a year.
Did you already mention how much you made on Upwork right now?
I think I'm about a little over 20K right now on Upwork. And I've been doing Upwork seriously for about 6 months.
Just to make sure I understand your revenue streams, is it only Upwork or is it one of your revenue streams right now?
Right now, all my revenue streams are coming from Upwork.
I imagine you didn't start with $8,000 revenue per month. Can you walk us through how did you build your Upwork profile from start to where it is right now?
Any freelancers that's watching right now, the first gig or job that you get is going to be hands down the most difficult that you'll ever get. And you might have to take some scraps and take some pretty bad clients and some pretty bad jobs until you can build the confidence and start getting better clients. So for my first job, I think it was like $150. It was $15 an hour to go to different websites and write a sentence for each company and say, hey, I like this about your company. And then they would use that in their email marketing. And then I did that. I got some ratings on my profile. I did a couple more smaller gigs. And then I finally got a kind of steady email marketing job where I was writing emails for $50 a piece, writing two or so for one client each month. I think it was probably last year. That's 2022 is when I started kind of dabbling in freelancing, just doing maybe making a couple $100 a month. And it wasn't until the beginning of this year in January, or probably actually last year in December, is when I really started getting serious and went from $200 a month to 3 or 4K a month. But I started out as writing $50 emails essentially, and then I built my way up to $3,000 retainers per client.
But you're saying it's getting really serious in December last year, but was it that you put more effort into finding new clients, or was it that clients were finding you, or that they were more responsive to the proposals you put out there on Upwork? When
I just started out making the couple $100 a month, I really wasn't taking it seriously. I heard about copywriting and just wanted to try it out to make some pocket money essentially. And then this was when I was doing in grad school. And so I graduated grad school and I was like, well, I either have to go find a job or do the freelancing thing seriously. So I did freelancing seriously. And so I decided that every single day I'd spend 1, 2, 3 hours prospecting, finding new clients, sending out proposals, basically hunting for clients every single day. And then, it's the more you put in, the more you get out. So then I started building up to that 4K. And then after I hit about 10K on Upwork, then people started coming to me. They saw my profile with good reviews and that I was actually earning money and I know what I'm talking about. So I think once you get past this hump, maybe 10K or so, you're going to get people coming to you. And it feels really good to have people coming to you.
Do you have an idea of how much effort you needed to put in sending out offers to jobs in relation to how much were accepted?
It's like a funnel, right? So typically I would send out maybe 15 and then get a response back and then go from that
per day,
response.
Or
per day, maybe 15 to 30 a day. But my response rate was probably about, for every 15 that I sent, I would get a response. And then sometimes those people would turn into a customer. I'd probably say maybe 20% of those people turn into a client. Now it's getting lower because I'm raising my prices and I'm getting more cheap clients that are saying, oh, you're too expensive. But I'd rather have that than have a whole lot of cheap clients and doing a lot more work.
I also asked you a little bit about your day-to-day life and how much you work. So you mentioned you're like 10 to 12 hour days, but not like all focused. You have some free time to take a walk or whatever. Do you still have some free time right now to do other stuff? Or is it like, is your day-to-day life really around the work stuff right now? Like building up that momentum to get that ball rolling on Upwork?
I like to play guitar, play drums, things like that. Right now, I'm putting that kind of on the back burner and really focusing on growing my business right now and putting pretty much all my effort on growing my business, because I think once I hit a high enough point, then I could have more contractors come on and help me out, and then I'll have that free time later as well as a higher income. So right now, a lot of my free time is spent thinking about my business or working on my business. And, you just got to be willing to put in the work at the beginning and then kind of reap the rewards and kind of lay off the gas once you're at a comfortable pace.
Do you have like any tips for the people that want to get started in this? I feel like it's a mental challenge as well.
A lot of people have imposter syndrome, where you think that you can't provide what you say you're going to provide. And that ends up, you saying, okay, I'll work for $10, $15 an hour. And I think a lot of it is really consistency and having that confidence that you can really deliver to your client. Once you have that consistency and that confidence, then you can start putting out higher numbers. And actually the clients that pay you more are a lot easier to work with than cheaper clients, really. So I will say this, you gotta keep going. Like, it will feel like nothing's happening for maybe months and months at a time.
Exactly.
And then it'll all snowball at once. Like I've been at 4K probably for about 4 or 5 months. And I just got to 8K, and I'm probably going to sign 2 more clients later this month. So I'm going to break 10K. So I went from 4K to 10K in like 2 months. So it all came down at like one time.
Can you tell me a little bit about your schedule?
I work with a lot of companies in the United States and just pretty much all over the world, Netherlands, like I said, Israel. And I live in Taiwan. So those time zones are about 12 hours difference. Some clients require me to be on the same time they are, or have meetings, or, just be on 2 hours at the same time. So right now what I'm doing is waking up around noon, starting work around 2 o'clock, and then maybe working until 2 in the morning.
How much hours do you roughly work per day?
Probably work maybe 10 to 12 hours a day, but it's not all super like really focused work. I'm not like doing intensive copywriting for 10 to 12 hours a day. It might just be, okay, I need to do some admin work. I need to go tell my contractor what to do. And it's usually not all from, 12 hours straight. I might take a break, go outside, take a walk, things like that. I really like that flexibility of working for yourself and having that flexibility. So that's pretty nice.
What did you do before this?
Yeah, so I was doing my PhD in Taiwan. And I was doing instructor. I was teaching English and being a graduate assistant, things like that. And my plan was to graduate and then go to university and teach English. I started learning about marketing online probably about 10 years ago. I actually studied marketing in college, but it wasn't really until I started like applying those marketing skills probably about 3 years ago. I started learning about like passive income is what everybody hears about. And I started to learn SEO and build websites online. And at first, it feels like there's no way to make money online. Like it's a whole scam because, a lot of your family members, they don't believe that making money online is a real thing. And you might not get a whole lot of support. I just built from there, started dabbling.
They do believe you now, right? Now you're making $8,000 online.
Oh, my wife's family says, oh, you need to go teach English. This isn't a real job, stuff like that.
Really?
But, my bank account is disagrees with them, I guess.
Yeah. Is she still saying that right now?
Well, my wife's family is very traditional and they believe in very stable jobs and having an employer. But I really don't think having an employer is any more stable than working for yourself.
No,
but that's
I totally agree with you.
I think the income ceiling is pretty great too, because if I was working for somebody else To make 10K, I'd probably have to work with them for 5+ years. But when you work for yourself, you can make 10K, 20K, 30K. And I know if you're just starting out, these numbers sound like really crazy. But once you start making this money and seeing that it's like a real thing, that you can make that much money owning your own business, your eyes kind of open up.
Yeah.
And it's really eye-opening. Like, you're used to being paid maybe $20 an hour, and then you work for yourself and get paid $100 or $200 an hour. It's a complete mind shift that you have to have when you start making more money, essentially.
Can you share a specific example of how you helped a client achieve a specific transformation?
I had one client come to me and they said, hey, we're launching a product. We need to get some feedback and see if it's a good product and if there's a product market fit. These guys had experience in real estate before, and they had this idea for a product. So they had like day jobs, but they wanted to launch this product and get it validated. And so we looked at who their prospects were, like what are their job titles, where do they live, what businesses do they work for? And we went and got their contact information and just sent them emails and said, hey, we have this product. Let's get on a 10-minute demo. See if you like it. You can give us your feedback and we could improve the product. And some people gave feedback so they can improve the product. And then some people just purchased.
Can we go one step back? So did you use LinkedIn, or I would like to know the specifics?
So this specific company wanted to find the lead information themselves. So they just went really manually and searched for real estate businesses on Google and looked through their About Us pages and found people's names. And then we used some tools like Hunter.io to find their emails, a very manual process. Yeah. And then we put that on a spreadsheet.
And about we, who is we in this scenario?
So they had somebody that was actually collecting the leads themselves, which was Googling the names of the companies and finding the names of their prospects. Yeah. So they were doing that part of themselves. And I would take that information from a spreadsheet and clean it up a bit. So make sure like all the titles sound natural. So when we do the merges in our emails, the language sounds very natural and doesn't sound like it
for the cold email spreadsheet. For the cold emailing.
Yeah, for the cold
mass emailing. And what software do you use?
So I like to use Instantly.ai. That's a pretty good cold emailing software.
That you can send mass emails with that software.
Some of my clients, we send like 5,000 to 6,000 emails a month. For this specific client, we're doing about 1,000 a month.
Cold emailing. So not like an email list. So no newsletter.
So these are cold. So some people would consider this spamming, but if you have a product that they're interested in that can help them, I guess that's kind of advertising ethics. So a lot of it is testing the copy to see what gets replies. You might have to test out one sequence, send that out and see what your replies are, and test out another one. Most of them are going to be negative that say, hey, stop emailing me. But it's a numbers game. So some people would respond positively, and then my client would be able to see those responses and be able to carry that conversation further, or just go ahead and book a meeting right there. So basically, my job was supposed to end when they get a response, and then they can take that conversation, book a meeting, and then go through the sales cycle. But I wanted to be really hands-on with them, so I helped them with the follow-up and automation with their CRM and Calendly and things like that.
Were you paid on an hourly basis, or was it a project?
So this specific client is on a monthly retainer, so they pay me one time every month. And this client is $2,400 for this specific client. And we don't do performance-based right now. We just do that one lump sum because this specific offer, the software that they're selling, is not a validated offer. Yeah. So it's impossible to know if they would get meetings with it. So we just decided to do one flat rate.
And then you agree on a specific hours you put in the project, or how does that work?
No, not actually. So we basically say, I tell them, hey, my job is to get you meetings and get you customers, and I'll do what I can to do that. So sometimes I'm spending more time rewriting the sequences to have better converting sequences, or building a landing page for them. So some people that just go to their signature, they can click on the link in their signature and it goes to a specific landing page for our campaign. And then we're also going to add some LinkedIn automation as well. So at the end of the day, my job is to get them customers. And if I have to do a little bit extra work, then I'll do that, because that means I can keep that client longer.
And is this still an ongoing client, or is this project finished?
I think we're about month 3 right now.
So you're still in the process of sending cold emails to research their product market fit, or is it already in a later stage?
Yeah, so we've got the cold email set up all the way. So now we just need to dump leads into it every single week. Okay. And now we're setting up LinkedIn automation right now. So the leads that didn't respond, we're going to go contact them on LinkedIn and say, hey, I sent you an email. Are you interested? And then if those people don't respond, we're talking about maybe doing direct mail and sending them a letter in the mail and saying, hey, I wanted to make sure you heard from us and heard about our product.
You mentioned LinkedIn automation.
So I use Limlist. Limlist is actually an email and LinkedIn automation tool. And specifically, we're using them for LinkedIn. And basically what we can do is we can upload leads inside a sequence. And in Limlist, send out like 20 invites for people on LinkedIn every single month or every single day. 20 a day that have a customized message for each prospect. And then we can have follow-up messages as well in those sequences.
And it's your job to set it up.
Yeah, I'm setting all that stuff up. Like I said, I want to help them get more leads, get more customers so they stay with me longer.
Can you tell me exactly like what kind of software systems you use?
Yeah, so Slack is a must, especially if you're working with multiple clients and working with a team. You got to be able to talk with people. Everybody likes using Zoom, of course, for meetings. I have some clients that use Google Meet, but Zoom is good. And then also the Google Suite. So we got like Google Docs and Google Sheets are probably my most used software, especially writing copy. I just write everything in Google Docs essentially.
And then you mentioned the cold emailing software.
Yeah, so that is instantly.ai.
Okay.
And that is, I'm in Instantly AI every day as well, making sure, checking the campaigns and things like that. We do Squarespace as well to build the landing pages. We do Calendly to schedule appointments. And then some of my clients use HubSpot for CRM. I use Zapier to connect all these pieces together.
You mentioned you used Squarespace for landing pages. Is there a reason you're using Squarespace instead of like another tool?
Yeah, so there's cheaper options out there like WordPress. You can do like $2 a month for hosting. But when it just comes down to speed with Squarespace, I can build a landing page in an hour versus, messing around with another page builder. And then Squarespace also gives me an option to see all my clients listed out, all their pages. So I can just jump back and forth to the different websites. And it just comes down to speed of execution, really. I know I could save money by doing WordPress and I could do hand coding if I wanted to, but I'm at a point where I have to focus. I would pay more money to save me more time right now.
You're the one setting up those landing pages for your clients.
So the first ones I was, but now I have a copywriter and web designer that I'm having him do that for me.